And we are live. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Gaming Perspective, episode 42, Star Wars Fights Back. So,
That's a good one. I like that.
I can hear myself. God damn, I hate you, YouTube. Okay. We are back again. We were gone last week, I think, we were gone last week. We took a little bit of a break. We're back now for the last live show. So this is going to be the last time you guys get to see us live. So put any disparaging comments in the chat so I can ban you faster.
Our audience is nice.
Yeah, I love our, you know what? I love our chat. The amount of people that actually have come into the chat and learned something or anything else, or started. I had someone be like, "Oh, I actually met someone I play games with all the time through your chat." I'm like, "Cool, that's awesome." So
community stuff, good, cool, awesome community stuff happening. Nice.
Yeah, it's like when people DM me and say nice things, I'm shooketh.
The core be shooketh.
So yeah, we got a full panel, so we'll do some quick introductions. Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Hey everybody, hope everyone is doing well. We got a lot to talk about today, and we have a really good, in-depth, complicated discussion topic. So let's get to it.
And as anyone that knows me knows, tact and depth are two of my biggest flaws as a person. And also, Jared.
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Really excited to have this episode going before we transition into something big and new. But it's going to be a fun night. We got a lot to talk about. And like Sam said, we got some really interesting conversations to get going on. So let's get to it.
Right on. And joining us from Jurassic World, Florida, Mr. Eric Jackson.
What's going on, guys? Happy to be here. Yes, absolutely. From Jurassic World, Florida. And you can tell like spring is hit, man, because they're out in full force. These little iguana bastards digging holes, laying eggs, weird stuff. Stuff I'm not used to seeing.
Man, I love it. I'll like be at work. It'll be like it was like minus 20 out, and you're like, "Hey, look at this weird lizard running across the parking lot." I'm like, I had a really great intro for Sam, and I completely wrote it in my notes. I completely didn't read it. I meant to introduce Sam as your mother's favorite games journalist, and that is a completely missed opportunity on my part. And I apologize to the audience. Sam's just shaking his head.
It's all well.
It's all well. All right, so it's another exciting week. And of course, what we've been doing all week is playing video games and not dealing with families, jobs, or moving or anything like that. So we will start with Eric. Eric, what have you been playing, sir?
Well, I'm happy to announce that Sam and I conquered the Chalice dungeons together about a week ago.
Dear God in heaven, we did.
Yeah. I'm still riding pretty high on that. I still feel pretty darn good about that.
It was good.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. It made it so much more bearable, man. You know, and I know people that went through it on their own, and kudos to them. But I don't honestly think I would have gotten through it if Sam and I weren't like pushing each other and having fun with it, because it's a chore.
It's a chore. I think it's not even necessarily the difficulty, although that definitely helps, like having someone to co-op and strategize with. More importantly, I think it's just it takes on a lighter tone, having someone there with you pushing each other on.
Yeah,
that's what really helped.
Yeah, because part of it, it takes that frustration edge off because it starts to become comedy.
Exactly. And we're able to joke, we're able to laugh, we're able to shrug some things off. With that in mind, From Software, don't ever do that again.
Absolutely.
Don't.
Well put. Well said. So outside of that, the platinum was achieved. I know Sam will be getting his soon, so that's cool. And I jumped into Metro Last Light earlier in the week, and I think I'm just about approaching the end of that game. But those games are so much fun, man. Yeah.
Can I get some quick thoughts from you? Like
Sure.
a couple of minutes thoughts on Last Light? Like, what are you finding so far from it?
I'm finding that it's actually like it's a faster pace, I think, from 2033.
I would say so. It's much faster paced.
Yeah, you mentioned there's like some quality of life changes in the game itself, in the way it's paced, in the way you kind of move along. Yeah, I find like I'm moving through it. It doesn't feel as I won't say the first game was a chore. It just felt like it was a little more random in its approach on how it was paced out.
It's definitely. I've actually heard the argument that Metro 2033 is the most walking simulator a game can get without being a walking simulator. Like it has those, you know what I mean? Like it has those slow levels where all you do is you walk and you talk and ponder philosophy, and that's not necessarily bad, but it definitely has a much slower pace than Last Light.
Absolutely, I totally agree on that. I think the focus on stealth is a little more prominent. In Last Light, and how you can approach that. You can go in guns blazing or definitely be a lot more stealthy. Let's see what else. I think the dialogue is definitely more prominent, and again, the mission structure is definitely better, I think. Like I said, it's got me a little more hooked in than 2033 did. I feel a little bit more connected to Atrium. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Artyom, if you want to get the Russian inflection in there, right?
Artyom, yeah. There's definitely more connected to his character in this game. Yeah.
Right on.
I'm digging it, man.
Nice. Let me know what you think once you finish it.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm right. I had to be pretty close to the end, I believe.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Right on.
And there to be back into Sekiro. I just needed a little bit of a break.
Yeah. You gotta take a break after doing the keep the Bloodborne high going as long as possible.
Yeah, you know what? Whenever I feel the urge to play Sekiro, I just slam my dick in the oven door, and it just cures that urge so perfectly.
Has your Sekiro career ended already?
It's not ended. It's just at a point where I'm like very angry. But we'll get into that. Jared, what have you been playing?
Well, I've been kind of jumping a little bit all over the place as I sort of usually do. I've been playing a little bit of the Division 2 and Sekiro, of course, but I think the biggest standout for me, one game that I haven't ever played, I've been wanting to for the longest time, but I finally started What Remains of Edith Finch. And so far, what I played, it's been fantastic. I'm going to continue on tonight. I haven't really played a whole lot throughout the week, but I'm really excited to get back into it. I think only about an hour or so in. It's just a fantastic story so far. It's really exciting. It's really in depth, and I like how it goes through the family tree and the characters and their history and what happened to them. And I'm really excited to dive into these stories of these characters.
Bro, that the ending screwed me up. I put my controller down and full on sobbed because I was no. Yeah, no, the ending is just it's a baseball bat to the face. It's just some of those stories hit on an emotional level.
Yeah, not even just ending, but that one particular story in between, like we talk about as parents, it's just like, whoa, God.
Yeah,
I don't want to. Yeah.
I really, if people really enjoy What Remains of Edith Finch, play the previous game to that. They made a game, I think it's called Unfinished Swan. It's on PS4. I think it's about $5.
Yeah, I have that one. I've never jumped into it, but I have it in my own backlog.
It's probably about a 2-hour game. But the art style and just the whole how the game's, it's not as deep as Edith Finch, but it's still it's a really intriguing game design.
Yeah, because you're working with a blank canvas and you're throwing ink pretty much and revealing.
Yeah, you're revealing things and then it changes those dynamics into you slowly creating things. And it just scales from that. It's brilliant, really. It's on the level of things like Journey, for example.
Okay.
But it's a really great game and people should check that out. Sam, what have you been playing?
Okay, being honest, I've been extraordinarily busy. I haven't had a chance to play a lot of stuff. I've been making some progress in Bloodborne towards the Platinum, doing a bit of stuff there on and off, collecting the last weapon I needed for all the weapons trophy, that sort of thing. And then beyond that, I have not been playing a lot. I've just been playing Total War Warhammer 2 on my computer, on and off, because I can play that for 30, 45 minutes and then go back to working immediately, and stuff like that.
I don't mean to cut you off.
No, please, by all means.
But if you're sort of like in between like playing something and not, I can completely understand because, dude, you spent so much energy going in on that boss on Sekiro.
Oh, dude. Like
I can totally understand you being like, you know what? I need a little bit of a hiatus from games.
A couple of days ago, I was talking with my mom. I was like, I legitimately don't think I'm fully recovered yet. Although I should mention, since we didn't have a podcast last week, I should mention I finished Sekiro. I should mention that I beat Sekiro. My review is out there in the wild for people to see. It's something. I love that game. That game is going to be in my Game of the Year contenders. But as I have voiced frequently to Eric, that final boss is something else. It's something unholy.
Most people say the same thing.
Oh, man, I'm not looking forward to that because I'm still on the Great Shinobi Owl. I'm still stuck on him. I haven't, of course, tried a whole lot, but man, oh man, I'm not I'm not looking forward to it because this guy is tough.
And that's the crazy thing, man. Sam and I talked about this too. We said, when it comes to certain, like from games like Souls and Bloodborne, like most people were done at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, long before this.
Like I'm still on this boss at this point in the game. Like it's crazy, man. Like I saw Erica today. Like she's pretty good in these games, and she's like, I might lose a controller to this final boss.
I sympathize. I really sympathize.
Oh man,
I have beaten everything else these people from FromSoft have ever thrown my way. But Eric, there was a small bit of time there. I was beginning to wonder. I was like, can I do this? Can I actually beat this? I mean, you have to be perfect. That's it. That's the strategy. You have to learn and you have to be perfect. And I pray to God your reflexes are perfect.
Wow.
No kidding. That's ridiculous.
I mean, the game is fantastic. The game is, no mistake, the game is a masterpiece. I love the way they've evolved the level design and stuff like that. But no, I'm still burnt out from that. I'm still in like recovery mode, especially with work being so high, getting E3 travel plans organized and like binging Game of Thrones before the final season. I haven't had a chance to play that much else.
Right.
Well, it's such a boss-riddled game, too, in comparison to all of their other games. There are more bosses in this one and mini-bosses that you have to face and overcome and challenges than there are in, let's say, 2 or 3 other games combined. It's just ridiculous. I swear it's just a boss-fighting game that really puts your mental stability to the test, whether you can really persevere or not, and find out if you can really do it and learn and overcome your trials and tribulations.
I beat Sekiro and it made me better at home finances. A reset era. Listen, me and From Software games go together as well as John from STGC and Overcooked do. Okay, they just don't mix.
I beat Sekiro and I went in there and told my boss I want a $40,000 raise, and I got it.
There you go, Eric. There you go.
God. All right, so what I've been playing a whole hell of a lot. I've had a week. It's hard to put into words what my week's been, but I haven't really had a desire to pick up a controller too much this week. Mm-hmm. So I was playing Dusk on PC, which I'm doing a review for this weekend. Fantastic game. If you like Doom 1993 and you like 90s FPS games, go buy and play Dusk. It is fantastic. And you can literally run it on anything. You don't even need like a mid-range PC or anything. You can run on a laptop. It's just a great game. It's got a pretty decent story. I was surprised about it. And it's a really just core at its fun game, finding secrets, everything else. It's just really fun. And on Xbox, I bought a game called Gang Beasts. And oh my God, if you get a couple of friends in this game, it is the most ridiculous, stupid game that you can have fun with. It's basically Octodad, but a fighting game where you can fight your friends. It's made by Double Fine, which many people will remember for Brutal Legends and a host of other.
One of my favorite devs.
They're so consistently funny and good. Like, this is the only game where your one friend can dress up like Donald Trump and you can dress up like a construction worker. You can pound the tar out of each other. and throw each other into incinerators, throw each other off of trains. It's a fantastic game.
Wow. Wow.
There's some really off-color character choices. They definitely encourage stereotyping. And you can create a character, and my guy is a little red guy in a chicken suit with aviators and a cape. And it is completely wholesome and so much fun with friends. If you have a game share partner, buy it, play it. It's a lot of fun. And I might live stream it, but once again, another one of those things where I'll probably get banned off Twitch or Mixer if I play it for too long. But it's a really great game. Double Fine makes amazing independent titles. I plan to start Persona 5 and Uncharted Lost Legacy this week. So we'll see how that goes. But now that we've kind of talked about what we've been playing, yes, Diego, the humping story. Yes, we're not talking about that on this podcast. What happens to me in Gang Beasts stays on Gang Beasts. So we're going to be talking, of course, about Sekiro because this is the authentic From Software podcast, apparently. From Software's new IP, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, released in less than 2 weeks ago, is already performing well in sales. In a press release, Activision confirmed that Sekiro Shadows Die Twice has sold 2 million copies in its first 10 days. This is the fastest selling From Software game in the studio's history. For context on this performance, Dark Souls, the original, sold 2.3 million copies in 18 months. Dark Souls 2 sold 2.5 million copies in a year. Dark Souls 3 sold 3 million copies after a couple of months. And that's per Zayhuge from the analyst at Nico Partners. This means Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is From Software's fastest selling game ever.
Wow.
Which is insane. That's absolutely insane. And this speaks volumes to me that this setting is something people want to see more of. I don't think this is a bunch of people going out and being like, oh, I need a From Software game. I think this is people loving this setting because this isn't a setting we've often gotten in video games lately. Like back in the days of Tenchu and things like that, we were kind of blessed with Ninja Gaiden and Tenchu, and we had a bunch of really great ninja games, and they kind of just fell off. And we kind of really haven't had that many this generation. I think From Software delivered a really tight, precise game. I think that them not only improving on their own formula, but also adding a dynamic story the way they did, I think was a huge plus for them. What are your guys' thoughts?
I'll let Sam jump in there first. Sam?
My thoughts on that that final boss notwithstanding, like I said, the game is a masterpiece, so I'm really glad to see this success. I really am. I'm glad to see them getting this recognition. I kind of get what you're saying, Nick, about, people aren't running out there, but I do think at this point, From Software has an established name. I honestly do think that's playing into it, that at this point, people associate their names with quality. Because they put out Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne this generation. That's what, off the top of my head, an 89 and a 92 on Metacritic, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then before that, Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls and Demon Souls before that. So there's an established pattern, and people have steadily, more and more, grown to love their games. So I think that plays into it, but I also think the easier to understand storyline, much more straightforward, more contemporary setting, I think that plays into it as well. And shout out to Activision for actually staying very hands-off and being like, hey, okay, do your thing. We'll just market.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
That's all they really
totally
did.
agree.
And shout out to them for having, in my opinion, one of the most, if not the most reasonably priced collector's edition ever.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm so sad I missed out on that.
There's something about it. I always have to say this in terms of Activision. Specifically, when it comes to their publishing deals, they seem to, if they don't own the studio, they always seem to be completely hands off. Just, you need this marketed? Okay, we'll market this. You need this? We'll do that. But they don't seem to interfere with the process, because there's nothing in Sekiro that feels jarring, like it was added in from an outside source. This feels like a very natural FromSoft game. Which is fantastic. Definitely. And we all know it was reported on before Sekiro came out that Activision was looking for a Western publishing partner. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on with From Software in that, whether they sign a deal similar to Bungie with Activision going forward because of the success of Sekiro.
That's very true. That's very, very true. Actually, it's a possibility. It's something they wouldn't, not put past them to not do, sort of thing, right? Man, Sekiro has been a fantastic evolution, I think, in the way they From Software has done their Soulsborne type of games. If you're a fan that has been playing the games since near the start of the beginning, or has been someone that has played all the games, you can see where they've constantly refined what has worked for them, and you can tell in Sekiro they've doubled down on what worked, but they also took it in a different direction. And I think the way they did it, having a more story-driven game that was still had great gameplay, great combat, it was still very refined. It still had that From Software game, core to it, and it appealed to a much wider audience. To me, it was just kind of like a good recipe for success for them, and it honestly paid off in a fantastic way. Now, seeing where Sekiro has went, I'm really excited to see what the next iteration of the game will be, because you got Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne. Now we have Sekiro. Will we have a Sekiro 1, 2, and 3, or will it be just a standalone, potential standalone, kind of like what Bloodborne is right now? Even though we all want the Bloodborne 2. We all want one. We need one. I should reiterate, definitely need it. But I'm excited to see where it's going to continue to go, because with From Software, all we're going to see is a refinement of what works and what people enjoy. So it's not going to be like where the game's going to go in a direction that's going to be bad, but it's just going to keep getting better. So I think overall, I'm really excited for From Software. I think they're really getting into the stride, and it's a good time for them, especially with next generation coming, because they have a lot of potential, and I think they could really just blast off because of what they're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think people that are still standing for Bloodborne 2, I think, really need to lay off the pipe a little.
Hey. It's good, okay?
I'm not saying alive. I'm not saying it's not good, but when Game Informer asked the From Software director about a Bloodborne sequel, and the director laughed.
I know. It hurt. It hurts.
The thing is with From Software's direction, I don't even expect a sequel to Sekiro necessarily. I think they want to get into making more one-off games than they do franchises necessarily. And I really liked what I like about Sekiro, even though the game frustrates the hell out of me. What I love about it is it's almost like their take on like a more action style game. Like, I'm not going to say Devil May Cry like, because it's not over the top enough. Right. But you know what I mean? It's the most action game style game. I would traditionally, I refer to Bloodborne and Dark Souls games as RPGs, because the character building elements can make or break your playthroughs.
I agree 100%. 100% agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. You can see that, because surprised, that's actually something I kind of miss in Sekiro, is looking for the gear and mix and matching your gear and weapons and refining them and that sort of thing. Like, I really kind of miss that aspect, and you're completely right, because there's definitely more of an RPG aspect in the previous games, and Sekiro is way more action adventure focused than what the other games are.
Yeah. They probably figure we might break people if we send them into trying to figure out which armor is going to work best. Focus on the fights, because you're going to need
to. Let's break them in gently first. Gently. Yeah. We know what the other games are like, but this one, let's not completely slap them around a little bit. Let's just do it with the enemies first, and let's add everything else later on.
Yeah. No, I think like everything that you guys have laid out absolutely speaks to where From is right now. It's been really interesting watching like their trajectory. Because of course they had games before, they did Dark Souls, but Dark Souls was that first game, I think, that kind of got people talking about talking about them. And it wasn't so much that people were saying From Software. They were like, you heard about this game, Dark Souls? I heard that game's crazy, from what I understand. Like, it's crazy difficult. I'm not touching that game, right? And then you watch it go into Dark Souls 2, which I won't say people were paying a little bit more attention, but that was the game where fans were kind of like, I don't know. I'm not sure about this one. And then you saw Dark Souls 3, where it was like, it's like they arrived all of a sudden. People were, you know, that game did really well, and more people were engaged, and I think more people were
So
like,
good.
curiosity jumped in,
man.
and it seemed to be like more accessible for people who wanted to finally get in and try it. And then, you know, you get into like Bloodborne, and that was like them kind of breaking out of their mold, even though it was like an exclusive to a platform. It was kind of like them saying, you know what, let's try something completely different. Let's flip the concept.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
we're going to make it a little faster, and we're going to make it a little more offensive, and, you know, this and that, and kind of strip back a little bit on the worrying about necessarily like gear sets. So like, we're not going to put that on you to figure out and to fix all your armor and to do this and that. You know, you can find an armor set and, you know, make it a little bit like, I wouldn't say easier, but a little bit more, you know, quality of life type thing. Like, you know, just get in there and fight.
Sekiro relies on your actual knowledge of the mechanics versus Dark Souls, where it was in terms of building your character properly and playing a play style that suits how you want to play. Sekiro forces you to play in specific ways. And you have to learn, because the biggest tip that Sam ever gave me that was the most helpful thing was not all bosses you need to worry about breaking their health.
Yep.
As soon as you stop worrying about trying to break down health bars and you start paying attention to posture, the game becomes different. Not every boss can be defeated by breaking their posture. Some bosses just seem to have unlimited posture, and it's annoying as hell. But then you can chunk away at their health significantly. So it's very balanced. This is one of the cleanest From Software games that's come out in terms of like hit detection, everything else. There's been numerous times in Dark Souls where I went, okay, that hit me. But Sekiro, 9 times out of 10, I'm like, I'm so stupid. Why did I jump? What the?
It's definitely doing some different things, and I definitely think, you know, it's them. It's like their game where it's finally like everybody's paying attention now. And I think, like you said, it's like what you said, Nick, is the setting. You know, there's something about being in feudal Japan that just kind of speaks to a bigger audience than, I guess, you know, the tones of fantasy and Bloodborne or the Nightmare of Bloodborne or the fantasy of Dark Souls, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So obviously they've arrived, because for 2+ weeks, all we heard about was, you know, not so much the game Sekiro itself, but the back and forth over should it have the easy mode and this and this and that. And I don't want us to get into that, but I'm just saying you've arrived when you have like a bunch of people in the community like going back and forth about what you should be.
A From Software game releasing is an event.
Right.
That's the thing. Yeah.
So that's a name now, and when you're in the middle of like gamer debates over this and this and that, you're in the know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
People don't talk about, you know, terrible, or, you know, mediocre developers in that same thing. You know, who cares? But if you're upper echelon, that's when people get into the heat.
Yeah, and like, and the one thing I think a lot of people miss about that whole accessibility conversation, because I'm not going to get into it much as well, but in the end, it just boils down to that they just want to play and enjoy the game as well, just like everybody else too, right? It just means that From Software is really starting to appeal to all of these different types of people. They really want to play their game. They really want to experience it. They really want to know what everybody else is experiencing too. And I think that's a really good thing to have.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, I think this one, them actually targeting like a full-on story with this one. I know the other games had stories, but this one had like the intro cinematic to this game did more for me than anything they'd ever done prior.
This is a definitely way more story developed game than any of their other ones, hands down. It is definitely way more story focused, and I love it. Absolutely love it, and I hope they continue on with it.
Yeah. So Sekiro 2 million copies. I'm cool with it. I will beat this game in the next 3 years.
You and me both, bud.
When I play Sekiro, there is an L at the end of Sekiro, because that was what I will forever hold with From Software games.
You have died. Hold this L.
Yeah, pretty much. You'll see me sitting on a roof using them like ninja stars.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
So, rumor time. Next Assassin's Creed game to feature Vikings. So, the Assassin's Creed franchise has been a long time mainstay in Ubisoft's prolific library of IPs. The franchise has certainly come a long way since the first game that launched all the way back in 2007. Now, 12 years later, one of the most exciting aspects of the franchise continues to be what location or era history will the next game tackle. Well, thanks to a keen-eyed YouTuber, Joe Raptor, we may have a clue on what the next era of Assassin's Creed will tackle. Originally reported on after by Kotaku, the next Assassin's Creed game could feature Vikings. The image in question is from a poster that can be seen within the Potomac Event Center in Division 2. These posters are plastered everywhere. You can see them if you own the Division 2. While there are dozens of these posters scattered throughout this location, it's important to note a key detail, which of course is the symbolic Apple of Eden being held in the Vikings warrior's hand. Many fans of the Assassin's Creed franchise will be familiar with the Apple of Eden, which has been a core story point in the Assassin's Creed franchise for a long, long time. Could this poster point to what we could expect to see next from Ubisoft? After Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey tackled Egyptian and Greek mythologies, it seems like the best next step for the franchise. We will have to wait and see. Ubisoft has not made an official comment of these rumors as of yet, other than there is not an Assassin's Creed game planned for this year. They are taking another year off. That's all we know at this time. So, thoughts? Assassin's Creed Vikings? I'm in. I'm so
good. Good. How could you go wrong? Honestly, how could you go wrong with the way that Origins went, with the way that Odyssey is? Put Vikings into the world now, please, bruh. Don't just inject into my veins. I'm all on board for this. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I own Origins and Odyssey through GameShare, and I have not even installed them.
Oh my god! If you like RPGs, you like The Witcher. If you like just a good RPG in the first place, you're gonna love them.
I own the last Assassin's Creed game. Give people context. The last Assassin's Creed game I played was Assassin's Creed 3.
Oh wow! Yeah, you're in for a treat, and quite almost like a culture shock in difference from the previous games to what Origins and Odyssey is now. Especially if you go straight to Odyssey, you're going to be, I think, really, really impressed with what they've done with the game. It's just outstanding.
Right on. So, Eric, what do you think? Vikings? Are you in for this? Or are you not? Or because I think you played Origins, correct?
I started Origins. I have to get back to it. No, I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan. I kind of burned out on it a little bit after 3. Unity was such a mess. It seemed like I just ignored it, but I kind of got back in with Syndicate, and Syndicate kind of paid for the sins of Unity. The Syndicate was really good, So I have Origins, I have Odyssey, both in my backlog, waiting to play. But no, it seems like it would be the logical step, moving out of Odyssey and now going into Vikings. I don't have a problem with it necessarily. I don't have a problem, and I know most people continue to scream for them to go to feudal Japan. I think the reason that they gave that they didn't want to do that years ago was the architecture doesn't lend itself to the traversal.
The thing is, Sekiro has kind of proven that wrong.
Exactly. Thank you, Sam. I was like, you look a little suspect, So, So I don't know why they don't want to touch feudal Japan. I kind of wish they would. I think when you talk assassins, what better world for something like that?
No, I agree.
I don't have a problem with Vikings, but assassins aren't the first thing that come to my mind when I think Vikings.
I'm not gonna lie. I had the same problem with Assassin's Creed 4 when they were like pirates. I'm like, no.
But you know what? I can say the same thing for Odyssey, honestly, because you're playing a Spartan warrior. They're not exactly an assassin, yet you're an Assassin's Creed game, right?
But the flip side of that, Jared, is the reason I don't have a problem with it is because Assassin's Creed itself isn't necessarily, and correct me if I'm wrong, hardcore driving into the assassin thing now is sort of becoming
I was gonna say,
you're right.
Let's be honest.
Go wherever you want to go. Go to space.
Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed Odyssey didn't exactly lean in heavy on the assassin part either. If we're being
Definitely
totally
not.
honest.
No.
Right.
So with that more in mind, absolutely, I would love to see a Norse mythology
You can
inspired.
do whatever you want with it at this point. I think you guys have a formula. I think they can definitely work it, right?
I just want the crossover. I just need the guy who voiced Baldur from God of War to make an appearance. Just a cameo. Just show up.
No. We need the world serpent in there at one point in time. It's just at one point there's like a cameo somewhere in the background, far off the distance as he rolls around the world. And then we need like a giant painting of Kratos hidden in a cave somewhere.
No. All I want is to be on a boat because it's an Assassin's Creed game. You know, there's gonna be a goddamn boat.
Can we have "I'm on a Boat" song playing?
No.
Oh,
I just want to be in a boat and you be rowing your boat and look over and it's Kratos and Atreus and they wave and then fade into the distance and I'll be good. That'll be the only.
That would be fantastic.
When they were going annual like Madden, you could almost kind of see like how they wanted to, like where they were going with things, and it always made sense. Like when they did Assassin's Creed 3, and they had all these assets for ship combat. And then the next game announced was Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag. We're gonna be pirates. I'm like, of course you are, because you have all these ship assets that you're gonna use, right? And then they go into Unity, and it's like, yeah, okay, we're gonna go to Renaissance era, Paris, and do that. Okay, well, that's the departure. No more boats. Okay, we're gonna do that. Guess what? The next game we're going to England. Of course you are, because your assets say that you can take these buildings and build.
Hey, you know what? Though,
I don't want to do feudal Japan because that means we have to just scrap everything and rebuild.
I want feudal Japan so much, though. That'd be so good.
You know what? Between Ghost of Tsushima and Sekiro, I think they got feudal Japan kind of covered. I actually,
oh man,
what I want is I almost want a I'd love a Cold War era Assassin's Creed.
Yes, that would be cool.
That would be very cool.
Like if you did like Cold War era Assassin's Creed, get back to being an assassin, and even just doing an RPG in the Cold War would be so unique. But it's never going to happen.
So you want a Splinter Cell RPG?
You do not get to say the Splinter Cell name in this podcast at all. Because there's a reason that whole interview with Ubisoft's head director there is not our topic. Because him being like, well, we just don't know how to tackle another Splinter Cell game. I'm like, pardon me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no development.
What's his name? Yes, Guillemot?
Yeah.
That's his name.
Fantastic guy, but continuously breaks my heart with Splinter Cell. So we're going to move on to the next topic. So Sea of Thieves got an absolutely massive anniversary update. It's adding in I say semi because I don't know the full scale of it, but a cinematic style story with specific quests and everything else. It's adding in fishing. It's adding the arena update as well. There is a ton of content being added to Sea of Thieves. And now I know this isn't the podcast filled with the most Sea of Thieves friendly people. Me and Eric are the most probable for dunking on Sea of Thieves. But I really have to give Rare the shine of creating a game like this as a service game and not charging a damn penny for anything. There is literally, outside of buying the game, there is no way of Rare making money off this. There's no microtransaction currency. There's no buying cosmetics. There's nothing. They're just literally cranking out huge style expansions for free. And it's fantastic. The amount of support this game's gotten rivals Ubisoft. And I really think Rare needs to be commended for that. Even though this game doesn't check all the boxes for me personally, I've got to give them credit. And now I want them to take what they've learned with Sea of Thieves and go make a great Conker's Bad Fur Day game. But Sam, I'll toss this over to you because you have more Sea of Thieves experience than I do. So what are your thoughts on these updates?
They're listening to what the fans want and going from there. Hey, people want more story-driven content, so they're adding like actual cinematic cinematics, can't talk, into the game, and different quest-driven missions and different quest chains and NPCs to talk to in that. And like, that's really cool. That's really cool stuff. They're adding enhanced ship damage, like being able to destroy the mast of a ship and the ship capsize as a result of that, or you have to repair the mast. The arena is looking to be a really good way to introduce people to the game because it's a very fast-paced, like 20-minute, 25-minute match of several crews all on the same island with treasure. So you get an idea of how the game is going to flow, but you don't have to rely on, well, maybe we'll encounter someone on the high seas. Instead of like the MMO aspect, it's just a forced match aspect to get people interested in. And I think that's a good way of doing it.
I think sorry, not to cut you off in terms of the arena, I think is going to get more people in because it's a great way of showcasing the combat. Because the first couple of times I played Sea of Thieves, we didn't find anybody. So I was like, this game's kind of okay, I guess. And then I lost interest in it. But with the arena, it's the core combat and everything else. So it'll give people different aspect of the game, and if anything else, it'll teach people how the combat works so that when they get into those scenarios, when you've just gotten this game and you're like, oh, I'm just on my little sloop, and then a galleon of 4 people that have been playing 500 hours of this game decide they want to destroy your life. Well, if you play in the arena before, you'll have a better hand on combat. You might not win necessarily, but it's a great way to get introduced to it, so to speak. What about you, Eric? You gonna whip out the pillow and the blankie to play some more Sea of Thieves?
Do that Kobe style.
Oh my god.
I was gonna ask, because I haven't looked much into it, but I know they're adding the story content, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, what is that? Actual like a single player campaign, or is that just like a co-op story campaign? Like, how's that working?
It's sort of in between the two. It's my understanding from Jez, because Jez Corden did an article on this, is, in fact, let me see if I can pull his article up, is that it's going to be multiple different quest lines that are very cinematic with like cutscenes and plots and stuff like that. It's not one giant overarching campaign. It's like multiple slightly smaller ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. I might. I mean, my thing with Sea of Thieves is not like I wouldn't want to go back in and try it. It's just as of it's just time.
Yeah,
sure.
It's just time, and then there are other games that just pull like my attention. But I'm not saying I would be opposed to going in and trying out the story stuff, because that is the one thing that they've built Sea of Thieves on, is like no one's left behind. So it's not like you've been out of Destiny for a few months and now you're like, the idea of going back in now when everyone else is like expert gymnast on the playground, and I'm not. It's not, that is something I kind of appreciate what they did with Sea of Thieves. So yeah, it's just that matter of finding a time to want to jump in and like try it all.
Here we go. I pulled up his article. So it's called The Tall Tales, and what it is there's one story arc that they're adding now, which is composed of 9 missions that in between them there's different cutscenes and different types of quests that haven't been in the game before, and they're going to be adding more Tall Tales as the game goes on.
Okay,
cool.
Yeah, I'm with Nick. I mean, it doesn't necessarily light my world on fire because I'm, but I'm sure. I definitely give props for what Rare is doing with that game. I mean, considering where they started, they're passionate about it.
Mm-hmm. They haven't stopped, and they have a decent audience that is continuing to be interested in the game. Occasionally, more people are coming in. So I think pillar is too strong of a word for it, but they have definitely carved out success. And
definitely, I won't knock them for that.
Nope. Jared, any closing thoughts on Sea of Thieves?
Oh, I honestly, it really makes you want to get back into the game, and I've actually been contemplating this whole week because it's been a really stressful week for me. I haven't had a lot of mental capacity or energy to put time into, like, let's say, Sekiro and taking down bosses, but I've been really wanting to get back into Sea of Thieves and get into it because I've barely done anything in that game since it came out, and since it's on Xbox Game Pass. And with all this new content that's come out recently and the big update that's coming out now with single-player story experiences, I'm very, very interested. So I'm looking forward to actually dipping my toe in a little bit more than I have previously and given this game a really, really good try.
Right on. Yeah, that's interesting. Hopefully, Rare continues to find success with the games, and definitely worth trying out if you're jumping in on any of those Game Pass deals that are going on right now.
Definitely.
So, on to the next thing. PlayStation name changes have officially gone live.
Oh boy, yeah.
But you could lose your firstborn child and your wife in the terms and conditions. No,
don't forget your bank account too.
So Sony announced that they were doing PlayStation name changes a while ago, and then they did early access for it, which was really weird. I've never seen early access for a name change feature. So they released it now. Your first name change is free, I believe, and then any after that you have to pay for. So essentially, fans were like, we want to be able to change our names because we made really dumb PS3 IDs. I feel that. I think I was Nick the Tank 420 on PS3. So,
like old school, huh, Nick?
Yeah. And have a PS3 when you're like 13, 14 years old. Great idea. Definitely when I bought PS4, I was like, yeah, do you have a previous PlayStation ID? No. But now with PlayStation name changes, you can change it. There's a disclaimer stating that you could lose trophy progress, game progress, saves, a bunch of other stuff. But I feel like it's more of just a disclaimer in case anything does go wrong more than it actually being an issue that's recurring.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like, it's a warning of you could lose stuff. So if you lose stuff, it's not our fault. But at least we told you.
Yeah, it's like the pharmaceutical companies. They put a commercial out that say, "Hey, this will, help your hair grow, but for a select few of you, it could cause, it could cause
it's like
bee oils and all this other stuff."
You guys remember the Mad TV commercial where it's like, are you depressed? Then buy this antidepressant. Side effects are suicide, depression. It's the same kind of thing. There's side effects to anything. For me, this just kind of shows how rickety-rackety the PSN still is, and how Sony's constantly battling uphill. I give them credit. They've done massive work to PSN, and it's exponentially way better than it used to be. And everything else, but whenever they try to tweak it like this, they always have to do so much back-end work.
Right.
And to just the fact that it took name changes this long to get through really states to how rickety-rackety PSN is at its core. It kind of makes me hope in PS5 they just do a whole new system. I feel like it would be more efficient for them to start over fresh on PS5 in terms of systems, so that they don't have to try to keep patching stuff from the PS3 generation. Because let's face it, the biggest downfall of Sony has been having stuff locked away on PS3 that they can't access due to decisions that were made on the PS3.
Yeah, now see, the one thing that I'd be skeptical about for the next generation, if they were to go through a whole new system and infrastructure for the PS5 and next generation consoles for online, would you be able to carry over your previous PS4 ID information and stuff over to it, or would we have the same kind of problems we have with just the name changes alone? Because with name changes, we have all these issues to go along with it. So if we have to have some sort of backward compatibility or crossover for the generations to use your profile information, is that could potentially cause more issues as well?
Yeah, it's a great question. All in all, name changes are here. Your first one's free. So if you're Blazeit 42069, you can now change it to Jared without any judgment.
Hey, it's always going to be 420 Blazeit for the rest of my life, okay?
Okay.
This is the way it's going to be.
I don't think anyone's going to have any strong opinions on PlayStation name changes, really. I saw Eric changed his. I had to delete him off my friends list because I didn't realize who he was.
Damn. Just
I don't even have Sam on PSN, so that goes to show you how much I use PSN.
I haven't turned mine on in like 4 months.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I didn't create like a stupid name. Like, for like all intents and purposes, like the name I had wasn't horrible. It's just I kind of, since we're in this kind of like social media world and you know, we podcast and we have connections. I just kind of wanted it to be easy across the board if someone did want to find me.
Yeah, like
so I'm EC Jackson everywhere now. It just made it easier, you know.
Yeah, it's just way easier.
Don't get rid of Daddy's Home, 247 as an awesome name. I'm like, yeah, I don't have a problem with the name. It's just, when I'll be quite honest, like when I created it, PSN wasn't robust. It was whatever. I didn't take it as serious. I was more on 360 anyway.
Yeah.
So I wasn't using EC Jackson because I was still Spider E27 on 360 at that point. So I just got, what name would be cool? And it was like an inside joke with like some friends of mine. So I just made it Daddy's Home 247. And that was it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I didn't make something stupid either. So it was like, it's fine. It's okay. I'll live. But yeah, this is, to give my thoughts quickly, this is just them covering their bases because PSN in the PS3 era is not exactly great. And I think there are certain things there that unless they just kill it all, they'll never be able to escape that. They'll never be able to 100% assure that it'll be perfect. So
yeah, and that's the thing. Like before I flipped it over, like I saw a few key people who that I follow who had made the change, and they said things seem to be okay. And then deeper than that, some other people who had been in the beta, and they were like, "Yo, it's been months that I switched mine over, and I haven't had any issues. Everything I've tested things. I've had it saved on major games. None of my trophies zapped or anything like that." I was like, "All right, you know what? I'll go ahead and do it. No big deal." But yeah, make no mistake. It like I told you guys in DM, I said it's absolutely crazy that it's been this. But like Nick said, I will give them props for not giving up on it. The fan base wanted it. They're trying to figure out ways to get around it. I do hope they're continuing to shore up. I definitely think they're a lot more serious now about PSN than they were in the in the PS2, in the PS3 era. They're getting more serious about where they kind of like cavalier and like nonchalant about online. Like, yeah, I don't know if people are really going to do that. People kind of no. It's there, dude. You got to be a part of it, and I think they were playing catch up. I think they're a lot better than where they were. PS3 was a nightmare,
Yeah, for sure,
to deal with, and I think PS4 is leaps and bounds better than what PS3 was. So
for sure.
I think going into PS5, I definitely think they're doing things to shore up the PSN.
Yeah. 100%. They've come a long way since the PS3 eras. Dashboard and everything in general has just become a lot better, and kudos to them. So this is something, once again, I always throw these PC tidbits in because I know there's like a handful of like super PC gamers that follow this show. Octopath Traveler will be coming to PC. Octopath Traveler from developer Square Enix was a stunning new IP in the JRPG genre that came out last year. It was a jewel in a very strong year for the Nintendo Switch. However, if you don't own a Nintendo Switch, you may have missed it. It appears, though, that you'll be able to play Octopath Traveler on another platform soon. Originally reported by site Jigamatsu, it appears that Octopath Traveler will be coming to PC on June 7th, 2019. Well, the blog post from Square Enix announcing this has been removed. Here's the full blog post, and basically you're going to get the full game, 8 unique heroes, skill sets, everything that's on the Nintendo Switch version. It'll be available. The most important bit for PC gamers is that Octopath Traveler will be available to buy from Steam and the Square Enix store, which I didn't even realize they had a store.
I didn't either. Wow, that's new.
Yeah. But so Octopath Traveler is coming to PC. This is super dope for me because I'm the only one on this podcast that doesn't own Switch. So it means I have the option to play Octopath Traveler, which I probably will, to be brutally honest. I'll probably pick this game up. I may not pick it up day one, though, because that's really close to what's in later June? Judgment from the Yakuza developers comes to PlayStation 4 on the 21st. So I may not pick it up too soon, but Octopath Traveler looks pretty amazing. Any of you guys played it since you guys have Switches or no?
No.
I have not gotten the chance yet.
I played the demo. It was cool. It's just one of those things, again, it's just like my backlog is king, and I just couldn't add another thing to it right now.
Yeah, no kidding, hey?
That's an immersive game. Yeah, so
yeah.
I mean, I like the aesthetic of it. I thought it was pretty cool. And then I think too, what kind of made me hold off on it was like the people who are pretty much like RPG veterans were like really hot on it, and then some of them really cooled on it. Like the deeper they got into it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't like spark me where I was like, oh, I absolutely have to get that one and play it like immediately, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's I like seeing how it's not really my type of game. I'm not a big fan of turn-based kind of games unless it's very specific certain types. But it seems definitely one of those games where old school Final Fantasy fans from the PS1 era will love this game, and they'll get some pretty major flashbacks to some also more old school JRPG type of games. Graphically, it's a beautiful game. Like the way they did it, it looks so cool. I love the pixel art on it because it looks it's still very vintage, yet it's still modern at the same time. And I also just like seeing how it's not really an indie game. At the same time, it's like a new IP. Not a very big name, but it's become very successful, and I like it when these smaller games become successful, that they end up being on other platforms for more people to enjoy.
right.
Yeah, for sure. More people get to play Octopath Traveler. It'll sell well on PC. Most JRPGs do. So it's awesome that more people get to play the game, and it'll be interesting to see if this doesn't get PS4 release at a later date because it's Square Enix.
It's almost fitting that it would be on the PS4 or PS5 at some point.
Bring it to Vita. Like
Trash.
Sir.
I sorry, what? It wasn't me, I swear. That wasn't me.
Sir.
It was someone else in the room.
Yeah, no. There will be no Vita slander on this podcast. If you Vita slander more than 3 times, if you stand in front of a mirror and slander the Vita 3 times in a row, Colin Moriarty shows up behind you and hits you with a Vita.
And Nick, I think what we have on Vita is all we're gonna have from now on, brother.
Oh shoot!
I'm not ready for it to die. It's better than the Switch objectively. Let it live.
Even that indie support seems,
yeah, it's starting to peter out really, really hard right now. Yeah,
Gotta go.
but long live the Vita. So, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has been revealed. It's been teased all week, but now we got an actual official reveal trailer. So, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has been revealed. Respawn Entertainment showed off the story reveal trailer for the first time today. This game players takes the role of a Padawan named Cal Kestis,
Yeah.
who survived Order 66. So,
What?
Do you need a minute?
Oh shoot!
No, I'm good. So Cal, will be his abbreviated name now, one of the last surviving members of the Jedi Order after the purge of Order 66, is now a Padawan on the run. Experience this all-new single-player Star Wars story from Respawn Entertainment, EA Star Wars on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC this holiday season. November 15th, 2019. So I've only got one thing to say. EA's Star Wars account made a tweet and was like, this is a single player focused game with no microtransactions and blah, 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 blah. And the first thing that came to my head, I was like, oh, like the Visceral one that Amy Henning was running about. You guys canceled because you said single player games don't work anymore.
Right.
I'm forever salty with how Visceral was treated and let go. However, I really think Respawn has garnered some goodwill with Apex Legends, and I think they've worked really hard on this game. This game looks great to me. I've seen some people saying it doesn't look the best, it looks kind of boring, whatever the case may be. Everyone's allowed to have their bad opinions, but I'm really excited for this game. And them getting the actor that plays like the Joker from Gotham and Ian Gallagher from Shameless to be the lead character, I'm all in. I'm 100% in on this. This looks great. And there's still there's part of me that's pinching myself going, a single player Star Wars game in 2019? Is this real? Is this real?
Oh, I know, right? It's almost as if like it's a dream.
I say like to each their own always, because that's just my way of dismissing idiots. I'm joking. But seriously, like, you know, when I see someone say like, just it looks boring, I'm like, we're in a culture, man, where it's like, I don't know what people look for anymore. You know,
yeah, what do you want? What do you really want?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. You know, you guys know what I'm saying. It's just we're over inundated with just media nonstop, right? So it's like, you know, you're constantly chasing the dragon on like something to get you hype. And I'm like, if you would have seen that trailer for that, I would say even 7 years ago, you would have lost your mind. Sort of like, I don't know, that looks kind of whack and boring. I don't get it. Okay. You know,
you just hear Eric's daughter in the background going, trash.
Where'd she get that from?
Maybe for me calling all of Roger's Hallmark movies trash. I don't know.
That's great.
But no. Was there anything else you wanted to say, or do you mind if I chime in with my thoughts?
Get in there, man.
So I really liked the way it looked. It wasn't. I will say that like the one negative is I don't think they're going for cutting edge graphics. Like it looks good. It doesn't look like Battlefront 2 good, in my opinion. It's definitely not aiming for the absolute best, but it still looks good. And as long as they're trying to make the gameplay great, that's going to be fine. That's okay, in my opinion. Because in the press release we got at the website, it explicitly said that they were focusing on gameplay and that they wanted the lightsaber combat and the force powers to feel good. They're working with the creator of the Clone Wars and the Rebels TV shows, the cartoon shows, to make the story integrate well, to make it flow well, and I'm all for that.
Definitely.
I want to learn more. I want to see how the game actually plays. Right now, I'm calling myself optimistic. I don't want to use the word hyped, but I'm definitely optimistic. And I think there's a lot of interesting things you can do with this. Like they talked, for example, about how they can't talk about the lightsaber because evidently it's a spoiler to even go into what the lightsaber means. And so my brothers and I are theorizing, like, well, what does that mean? And Joseph actually had this idea that because it's damaged and sparking, that it's a double-bladed lightsaber that got cut in half at one point. And then maybe you get it from his Jedi master, because you're a Padawan that survived the Clone War. So maybe his master had a double blade, it gets cut in half, and you use that to escape. That'd be really cool. It's an interesting period. It's a dark period in Star Wars history, and I'm all for it. So I want to see more. Yeah, and bizarrely enough, I thought that Sony had the marketing deals for all the Star Wars games, that they made a big deal with EA years ago, but it looks like this is being marketed by Xbox, and we're going to see something at E3.
Really?
Ooh,
that's exciting, actually, honestly.
The thing is Respawn's always been super tight with Xbox. You gotta realize those are the guys that did the Modern Warfare games with Infinity Ward. That's when Call of Duty was very deeply associated with Xbox. Original Titanfall was a Xbox exclusive. Titanfall 2 was a multi-plat, of course. I can't remember if there was marketing deals in place for that or not. I can't remember, but all that aside, it's exciting to see a single-player Star Wars game, even if this is just like what were those games called? Was it called The Force Unleashed, or am I thinking?
Force Unleashed. Yep.
The Force Unleashed. Yep.
Those were decent games. All in all, they were great. Like I won't say they're great games, but they were good games.
Yeah, they're honestly like the only two good Star Wars RPG action-ish games we've had at all this past generation, because we really only had the Battlefront games aside from those.
Yeah. And as terms of gameplay, there's two things I want to tackle myself personally. A is gameplay. I'm not worried about gameplay because it's Respawn. Because whatever these guys put their minds to, they get done. Titanfall is impeccable in terms of gameplay mechanics fundamentally. And the early Call of Duties were phenomenal. And Respawn has a high technical pedigree, and they released some of the most polished games that I've seen in terms of launching So I'm excited to see what the gameplay is. I'm not hyped. Like Sam said, there's not enough here for me to be hyped.
Yeah,
if they've given like a full 10-minute gameplay trailer, like for example, Cyberpunk 2077, I'm hyped for that because I saw 45 minutes of gameplay I loved. So I'm hyped for that. This is a really cool trailer teasing a single-player Star Wars game, which we've been screaming from the rooftops for forever. And here we are, and we're going to get it. So it's great. I have my one hatchet to bury is with all these people on Twitter going, here it is. We've got to support this game. This is a single-player game. No microtransactions. Everyone, buy this game. No. Because it turns out to be freaking terrible. Don't buy it just because it's a single-player game with no microtransactions, anything else. Use common sense.
Right.
And second of all, I love all these people that are like, oh, we're going to support it because it's a Respawn game. I'm like, y'all are whack. Y'all let Titanfall 2 fail. Y'all picked it up for $5. I don't want to hear any of this crap about people with Respawn since day one. Like, it irritates the hell out of me when people pretend like they've been like, oh, well, we bought the games day one. I'm like, I know like 3 people that bought Titanfall 2 day one.
Hey, that's where I'm at with Remedy and Control.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing that pisses me off. Like when Sam came and told me about those exclusive DLC content deals for Control, I felt for him because Sam's like a hardcore Remedy fan who's played all their games.
I bought 2. I just want to interject and say I bought 2 copies of Quantum Break, like within the first month, because I got one for a friend. So I have room to complain. I'll stick out.
The thing is that my general complaint with social media, I'm not going to call them bigwigs because they're only big in their head. My only problem with social media meandering is that people sit there and go, we need to support this, blah, 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 blah. And then it comes to launch day and you're like, so did you buy it? They're like, no, I'm waiting for a sale. It's like, okay. So it's like,
yeah, it's like before the marketing deal, before that deal or whatever, I saw people saying, oh, I'll wait for Control. This is like a one and done or so single player. I'll wait for it to be on sale or go to Game Pass. And it's like, again, it doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
Like someone like Sam who's looking at day one, yeah, that affects Sam.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of people frauding and then people just want to jump, they want to dogpile and start,
The Remedy situation's a different thing too. It's like all the people I've seen over the past 5 years say Remedy's a trash studio that hasn't made a good game ever, and then all of a sudden they've got PlayStation marketing deals, and all of a sudden Remedy's
the best thing ever. Right? Yeah,
and it's just annoying to me when developers get slandered for marketing deals that are made by their publishers. And this is the same thing with. I have a lot of hope for this Star Wars game because it's Respawn. But there's also the part in my back of my mind that EA cannot seem to do the Activision thing of just publish what the developers want to create and stop getting handsy with it.
Oh man, like just act like Devolver Digital and act like Focus Home Interactive, and we'll be fine. Just do what they do, and we'll be fine.
I hope this game succeeds. I hope EA realizes that there are room for these games. The thing is that there's room for multiplayer games. There's room for single player games. There's rooms for all these different types of experiences. I'm pretty sure with Star Wars brand recognition, you can make a Star Wars walking simulator and it would still sell.
Pretty damn good story on it, and I'll buy that game. I don't care.
I'm surprised I'm probably stupid. I'm putting my foot in my mouth with my lack of VR knowledge, but I'm surprised there's not an officially licensed VR Star Wars game yet. It seems like a slam dunk to make a Star Wars game in VR.
The closest thing I think you have is Beat Saber. Like I think that's it.
Yeah. So like I said, I like what I saw in the trailer, but wait for gameplay before hyping this thing through the roof.
Yeah, always wait for gameplay.
It's definitely not like a hyping thing, but the initial showing is promising, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't expect them at all to like show like a ton of gameplay or gameplay really in the reveal trailer. It's a reveal of what they've been working on and what they have planned.
Yeah, exactly.
More detail as time goes on, particularly like maybe around E3 or something like that. So
yeah, totally agree.
I think it's going to be exciting. I want to see more before I pass judgment. I'm seeing people already like the thing that kills me is people being like, "Oh, I just ordered the digital deluxe edition already." I'm like, "Why? You haven't even seen gameplay yet. You got this pre-order unlock already?" Jesus Christ! Whatever happened to boycotting EA? I thought we weren't buying EA games anymore.
Well, just when they have the game I want, then I'm good.
Yeah,
that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, to be fair, that's not a bad attitude to take. Maybe
that's true.
After Visceral being closed and Project Ragtag being canceled, and then EA Motive's open world Star Wars game being canceled, and then that's being reworked in something else. Maybe if this gets a good reception and is a good game, EA is finally going to get it. Like, hey, there's something that people want. Like, maybe they'll learn a lesson here, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be cautious, obviously.
Yeah.
Use your head.
It'll only have taken them 7 years to figure it out, but they'll figure it out one day.
Yep. Well, all we do is learn. Now, onto the discussion topic, which once again is going to be EA again.
Oh boy.
More focused on BioWare. So,
hold on to your butts.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I can be perfectly blunt. Things have kind of gone sideways in terms of what's going on with BioWare and EA over the past few weeks. Obviously, Anthem is on people's minds because I'm very interested to see what financials are going to look like for the next month, because we all know that EA and BioWare were very proud about posting on social media about how they were number one on NPD and blah, 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 blah for February. But I don't think you're going to see them in March.
No, you're not going to.
And I think that shows an issue that Anthem is running into is a bunch of people bought it off day one hype, but no one's still playing it anymore. And that's not a knock on, well, there's a knock on the game, but
well, it's a big fault on their part for not putting in proper endgame content. Honestly, there's no reason to continue once you get to that one stage where you're playing the same crap over and over again, and you basically beat the story, and that's it. You don't have much else to choose from to continue doing stuff on. So
yeah, so like there's no end game, and I think what's really killing them right now is the Division 2 kind of put the axe in Anthem's back in terms of quality.
Oh yeah.
And BioWare has yet to release any like major story-based content or endgame content. And the Division 2 already has two events already planned and rolling out content already for add-on stuff to keep people playing. I just think Anthem and BioWare, they just don't have it together in this terms. I think that BioWare is in a terrible position right now because they're in charge of a game that they don't know what to do with. And this, we can go back to when we were learning about Anthem's development, about how it spent years in the pre-planning stage and then rushed through production to hit launch. It seems blatant to me that Anthem needed a delay. I don't know if it needed like a 3-month delay or a 6-month delay, but this game should not have come out in the state it did.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree.
But where does this leave BioWare? Like, where do you guys go from here when your last two games is Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem?
You have to keep pushing, honestly. Like, I think BioWare needs to keep pushing through with Anthem. The only downside is, like, they really should have started a lot earlier, and the way that, of course, production and development was handled was atrocious, beyond... just like beyond atrocious. But the way that the Division 2 and how Ubisoft has continually supported that game for post-game content and for fixes and stuff like that has been, in comparison to BioWare and Anthem, substantially better. I don't know if that's because the two engines, Snowdrop and Frostbite, are so different, where Snowdrop is such a easy engine to work with for fixes and how to change things in the game in comparison to Frostbite. But you guys know how excited I was for Anthem, how much I love Anthem, really enjoy that game. But it's disappointing to see how much they faltered in their end game and post game content and how they supported it after the game has launched. Because by now, like at the end of this month, I should be expecting to be seeing the Cataclysms launching into Anthem. I should have already seen one substantial game content update with story missions, all that kind of stuff that has already been planned. But because of how many issues there are with Anthem, all this stuff has been continued to push back, and they haven't kept to their schedule because of all the stupid technical issues in Anthem. And because of all the crap that has happened, the Division and Ubisoft, and we know how good Ubisoft is and how good they have been recently in these previous years with their games and supporting their content, and how refined they end up being and how good they are much later on. The longer BioWare waits on this game and making it as good as it should be, the more the Division 2 is going to be taking that fan base away, except for maybe a core group. But even then, Anthem is going to have a very hard time looking to survive in the long run if they really don't do something drastically and quickly.
Yeah, I can't really follow up with that because like you're the guy that's got like 100 hours into the game, so you can tell your analysis of like what's wrong with the physical game is going to be better than me, Sam, or Eric's input on it. And before we dive deeper, I kind of want to get Sam. What's your general thoughts on where BioWare is sitting right now with this?
BioWare has had multiple issues. And these issues are not necessarily exclusive to BioWare, but we're talking about BioWare. So that's the subject. They've had senior staff leave. Think about all the influential people that made their past games happen, okay? Like with the Dragon Age franchise. David Geider, gone. Michael Laidlaw, gone. What about Mass Effect? Drew Karpyshyn, gone. Like... And there's countless others that I'm missing. Those are just the ones that come to the top of my head. They've had plenty of new people join, new talented developers that are eager to make their mark, but the senior leadership hasn't been there, and they're flailing around. And one quote from the report really stood out to me, that many at BioWare think that it would have been better for them if Dragon Age Inquisition had failed, instead of winning Game of the Year and being critically acclaimed, because it reinforced this idea of, hey, crunch for 2 years, and then at the end, BioWare magic makes it all come together. And it's like, no, that's not sustainable. That's not feasible. And Anthem proved it wasn't. Anthem was in development for over 6 years. Over 6 years, and it was at E3 2017 when the majority of the studio learned what they were working on, learned what the vision for the game was. That's not right. That's inexcusable. They've got to go back to basics. They need to, work on making things stand out, but they need to be looking at their whole process of how they're making games and trying to check and place the employee welfare and mental health at the top of their checklist of things to take care of, and then go from there. There's a lot of things wrong, and I know that kind of sounds like a rambling rant more than anything else, but that's how I feel about it. There's just a lot that needs to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Sure. Eric.
No, man, I mean, there's not much more to add to like what you guys are saying. I mean, Sam pretty much hit it on the head. For those who really are into Anthem, I really hope that they can figure something out. Like, I know Jared's like really into this game. I don't want to see anybody who put their money down to have this game not get out of it what they want. But I will say, when you look at where Vanilla Destiny launched, right, they were kind of on the cusp of where we are now with this whole, looter shooter thing in this generation, like post Borderlands world and all that stuff, right? So
Sure.
we kind of had an opportunity to get an audience that was kind of willing to wait to see what they were going to do, right? I don't think BioWare has that luxury right now. And we talked about this when Anthem was launching, and then right on its tail end, it was like, well, a lot of this is going to depend on what the Division 2 does. And we're seeing how people are receiving the Division 2 right on the tail end of what is going on with BioWare and Anthem. And is just kind of, I won't say worrisome because I'm not really invested in the game from my part. It's worrisome for someone like who's concerned about what Jerry gets out of it to say, do they have that audience built in that is really checking for them right now? Like, or did they miss that heat? You know?
Yeah, it's an interesting state to be in. It was disappointing to me for so many reasons. Reading reports on BioWare, you had Jason Schreier's pieces, you had other pieces that came out. They talked a little bit about it on Sacred Symbols, where people at BioWare weren't allowed to look at other looter shooters, which is nuts to me. Like, wouldn't you want to learn what was wrong with the genre as a whole?
Yeah, exactly, Nick. Like saying that comparisons to Destiny were eschewed and they were kind of banned. Like, that's wrong. Like,
yeah. And it kind of leads into like when we were talking about before the game launched, it's like, where's their in-game stuff? Where's this and that? They've had the roadmap from so many who've gone before them of what they should do and should not be doing. Mm-hmm. And then you hear that story and you're like, oh, okay, well, it sounds like we got the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is scary when you think about it.
I worry for the state of BioWare because it's been reported that they released that Dragon Age trailer against EA's wishes, which feels like they're trying to power move on their owner, which, let's face it, that's not a good relationship. That doesn't point to things are going great between those companies right now. And people that are like, oh, well, EA will just let BioWare go like Activision let Bungie go. No. Activision never owned Bungie. They had a publishing deal. Ownership's a whole different. Do you think the Visceral, like Amy Hennig and Visceral Studios, wanted to get closed down? Do you think they would have separated if they possibly could? EA's got BioWare by the throat right now. And they've put out 2 games that didn't review well and did not hit sales expectations. Like, Mass Effect Andromeda is the reason the Mass Effect franchise is bookshelved. And Anthem, they had insanely lofty sales goals for Anthem that I didn't even think the game would hit if it was amazing. Nonetheless, it's lukewarm reception. Like, how many people do we know that are still playing this game? Like, my feed was full of Anthem gameplay for the first week, and then it dried up. Like, there's some great people, Jared and George, who were still posting stuff a couple of weeks after that. But then even after that, it dried up. And it was like, okay, so what's going on with the game?
George is still fighting the good fight.
Oh, yeah. But the thing is like, it's weird to me because we had this whole thing pre-Anthem launch. You had Casey Hudson. You had all these guys that were so vocal on social media about what you were getting with this game. And then the game launched. And now all of a sudden you can't find a single person talking about what's going on. And like, the Anthem Reddit is an absolute joke 90% of the time because it's just like, oh, we have this new weird issue after the patch that fixed this last weird issue. They can't seem to catch a break. The forced Frostbite engine use by EA has to frickin' stop.
Mm-hmm.
Because Frostbite engine is glitchy and buggy in a first-person game. I don't know how they adapted it to a third-person game. Like, I don't know how, like I realize Star Wars Battlefront, you can play in third person, yada, yada, yada. But with Anthem, there was so much mechanically going on with that. It was just, with Frostbite, I just feel like it was so forced that there was, how do I put this? There are some aspects of Anthem's failures that are on BioWare's shoulders, but also there is a fair amount of responsibility on EA's shoulders because as a publisher, they need to give BioWare the room to succeed, but also to fail in terms of give them enough rope to hang themselves with. But I feel like BioWare didn't have enough rope and didn't really have a solid direction, which if you don't have a solid direction for a game, you're not going to make a good game.
No, you're not.
No.
And it breaks my heart because anyone here, I guarantee if I asked all you guys what your favorite BioWare game is, we'd all have different answers because their catalog is exponentially deep. They probably have one of the most dynamic and largest catalog of RPG IPs. Let me just look that up quick. So, like, you've got the Dragon Age franchise, you got Star Wars: The Old Republic, you've got the Mass Effect series, you got Dragon Age, you've got Jade Empire, you've got Baldur's Gate, you've got they did Sonic Chronicles on the Nintendo DS, which is hilarious. There's just so much that BioWare has done that's so great. And I think what we all forget so much is that just because the name of the studio remains the same doesn't mean the same people are there anymore. And I think that's the biggest thing everyone's forgetting with BioWare. The so to speak golden renaissance of BioWare unfortunately is gone. Those people have moved on. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with, like, I'm a huge Bethesda fan. Everyone knows that. But the people that made Fallout aren't there anymore.
Yeah, that's the same thing with, like, Halo and Gears of War as well, right?
Well, Gears of War a little bit less because Rod Ferguson is still friggin' amazing, and
thank God he's still there.
He's still 100% dedicated to that IP. And,
yeah.
But yeah, like, could you imagine Gears of War if it still had Cliffy B and all those guys still working on it? It'd be interesting to say.
It'd be definitely, yeah. I think it'd be definitely a different direction than what it's going in right now. Yeah,
for sure. But I think, as much as it hurts me to say, I don't think the next year is going to be kind to BioWare.
No,
and it breaks my heart to see a company, especially a Canadian-based video games development company, go through this. And my heart goes out to those that work at BioWare. I will not present anything that's been broken this news week as fact, because there's always could be different possibilities of everything else. But of all the stories that are coming out of BioWare about how unhappy the employees are with the direction of the studio and everything else are true, my heart goes out to them because it sucks. It sucks to see one of the premier studios that brought us franchises on franchises on franchises of games just struggle.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to get any better. And I hate to reference clickbait articles, but I really think if people were excited about that Dragon Age teaser, I think you really need to be concerned at this point in terms of what the future may hold for that franchise.
Well, no, I mean, Sam mentioned this to me, and I completely agree with him. He said, he actually threw that out there, saying that trailer definitely seemed like a shield.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And we got confirmation on that pretty much,
Jeffrey Grubb, from VentureBeat, another great reporter, said that he's confirmed that EA did not want to show a trailer for that game. They were concerned it was too far off. They had other reasons, but BioWare insisted that it go up. They insisted for a reason.
Yeah.
The thing is now is, and to look at this from a PR standpoint, because I talked to one of my friends who does PR for a game studio, and he said the PR backlash from EA towards EA, if they close BioWare now that people know there's a Dragon Age teaser, is going to be massive. Like, shutting down BioWare would be a massive PR backlash, but the fact that they were like, this is a return to what made this series great, and this is what they wanted to deliver, and then EA shuts them down. It's a huge PR nightmare for them. So it's almost like BioWare was trying to add insurance to themselves to kind of be like, if we can create enough of a PR stink for EA not to close us, it's worth it. And if that's what the studio has to do, that's fucking sad. And I don't mean in terms of sad that BioWare has to throw out a teaser trailer to keep their studio open. It's just sad that video games as a whole are that imbalanced, is that you can have one bad game and your studio's gone. Like, BioWare has been making games for 2 decades plus. And they've had 2 bad games, and this could be the end of the line for them. Like, and like, what kind of, like, it breaks my heart. Like, it's like, what does that mean for other studios now? Like, is this how the industry is going to grow going forward? 1 bad game, you're done? Because God knows that there's been bad games in some of our favorite franchises. Like, every franchise I maintain has a bad game. Even if you look at something like the BioShock games. BioShock 1, amazing. BioShock Infinite, amazing. BioShock 2,
It's more than just 1 bad game, though. It wasn't just 1 game, and it wasn't over a standard cycle. Anthem was delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed without any vision whatsoever. So I don't think it's just as simple as 1 bad game and you're done.
Yeah, but I'm talking in terms of just how the industry shapes up as a whole. Like, we see people now, like, if a developer makes a specific decision or anything else, people write that whole developer off now. And I think that's a really dangerous mindset that people are adopting in terms of this. Like, I'm seeing people write off Remedy right now because of Control having minor exclusivity. Like, you shouldn't write off a whole developer for something that the developer may not have control over. And, like, there's certain aspects of Anthem, like, I couldn't get into the game for the first week because of boot screen crashes at the tutorial. I replayed that damn tutorial 6 times. I wanted to love that game. I couldn't, though. It literally wouldn't let me. And it sucks. I want to go back to it because I did not give it the time it deserved. But at the same time, it's like, with all these games coming out, am I going to find the time to go back? And it's like, it hurts me to sit there. Like, I'm not a Mass Effect fan. I'm not a Dragon Age fan. But BioWare made pinnacle RPGs to me. And I don't see them getting back on that track anytime soon. And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yep.
Any closing thoughts, guys?
No, man.
I hope
don't got much.
I hope something better happens.
Yeah.
I hope.
I only hope, and I will say this, is as sensationalist as sometimes Jason Schreier's pieces can be, and I'm not a huge fan of his personality per se, I will give him, and as Sam brought up earlier, I need to give Jeffrey Grubb credit as well for being the most consistent in reporting about developer frustrations, so to speak. Because a lot of journalists will jump on hype trains or ride out the news in whatever way. Like, when Borderlands 3 was revealed, someone had an opinion piece 20 minutes later about how the trailer sucked. Like, that was
really?
There was no, it was pre-planned. There was no thought put into it. But you got guys like Jeffrey Grubb and Jason Schreier who are putting out these pieces. And like, Jason's piece was like, what, 15,000 words? It was massive.
Something crazy like that. This was an investigation that had been going on a long, long time.
And the most consistent thing I could say about Jason Schreier is he legitimately seems to care about how developers are treated within their workspace, which is not something I can say about most video game media coverage. Like, how quickly did we forget Quantic Dreams? How quickly did we forget THQ Nordic's debacle? How quickly did we... These guys are trying to bring the forefront to the trials and trepidations that developers face on a daily basis. And I just feel like sometimes they don't get the credit they deserve for it, or it gets lost in he said, she said dynamics. And I don't necessarily always agree with how things are presented, but the information remains to be useful to the public eye. And having EA and BioWare having to publicly respond to these articles means that there is something going on to me. You don't respond to something if it doesn't mean anything.
Well, especially when your response comes out a minute after a report comes out. It's like you did not have time to read it, much less write a response.
Exactly. So my heart goes out to the people at BioWare. I hope things work out for them. I hope Anthem pans out in the long run. I hope that a year from now, we're looking back on Anthem the same way I look back on Sea of Thieves for Rare. I really 100% hope for that. So that wraps up our discussion topic for the night. So we just have a couple of housekeeping-based things. So I want to say I appreciate everyone's support for this podcast that has come out in support over the past year of us doing this. We're taking the dangerous step forward into pre-recorded and trying to give you guys a better podcast experience, so to speak. So there will be more info coming in the upcoming week or two about what platforms you'll be able to download this podcast on as of right now. But Google Play and Podbean and Podcast Addict and various other podcast apps, we will be available on day one. I'm working on iTunes and Spotify and things like that for your utmost convenience, because we want to be on as many platforms as we can, so you guys can listen to us on your preferred platform of choosing. We are not an Epic Game Store exclusive podcast yet.
Still waiting for the paycheck's right.
Yeah, Tim Sweeney, call me. I want to thank everyone sincerely that has followed this show and has tuned into these episodes and has supported us through this great podcast experience. And part of the big thing is that switching to audio format, I'm going to start making videos on the channel again. Things that are a little too spicy for me to put on the website will be going up in video form. I've got a couple expose pieces I'm kind of working on that I want to put into videos more than written. So this channel is going to be more of an outlet for that. And there will also be another spin-off podcast of this that I'll be announcing in the next week. I'm really excited. I've been working on it for almost 2 months now, on working on the factor of it and everything else. And I'm really excited to share this content with you guys. But with this being said, I've sunk a fair amount of money into changing the direction of this podcast and adding in certain aspects of stuff that's going to come much later. I've got a lot of stuff cooking for this channel, and I really love the support we get. And the content I want to deliver you guys is I want to give you guys the gaming news without the spin. That's my idea. I don't want to give you guys sensationalism. I don't want to give you guys this is better because it's on this console. I just want to give you guys video game information that you can take the information, then make your own thoughts on it. And that's the focus of the Gaming Perspective brand as a whole. And
the
now
way it should be.
Now I say brand, this is important because if you look in the description of this video, we now have a Patreon link. Now I 100% will clarify right now, there is no paywalled content. There will never be something that isn't available on this YouTube channel or downloadable from Podbean from us. The support you guys give us is 100% appreciated, but is not 100% necessary. And I need to stress that to the most. This is to help fund things like the Podbean subscription fee. This will help me pay these guys or buy these guys games so that they can get impressions, so we can talk about more games. It just helps us as a whole panel. And it's going to be really great. If you guys choose to support us, that's awesome. If you don't, I still love the fact that you guys take the time out of your day to listen to us, to come here, to talk about video games and everything else. It's been great doing these shows live. I'm excited for the new format and the stuff that I'm working on, and I really can't wait to share more with you guys through the week. So yeah, is there anything from you guys in terms that you guys want to say before we wrap this episode up?
I'm all good in the hood, bro.
I'll just say no. Yeah, Nick, we appreciate all the hard work you're putting in. Looking forward to the new format, and definitely appreciate everybody that tunes in and listens to us ramble on about things that we think we know everything about.
Well, I've said this numerous times, and I'll say this again. I always joke with the Third Wheel Arcade guys when I say, hey, don't worry, I just ramble nonsense on my podcast. And then Sam goes, Nicholas, that's not the actual information. This is the actual information. I'm like, yeah, that's what I meant. But that's enough that I love doing this podcast with you guys. It's been great doing
it's fun.
And you know what? I love how organic our podcast is. Because I sometimes feel when I'm listening to podcasts when it's all like big name, self-sufficient guys, there's like no chemistry whatsoever. And I just plucked you guys out randomly. I just remember looking at my Twitter follow list going, I like that guy. Let's get him on a show. Like, I like this guy. Let's get him on a show. And like Eric, it was just like, I need to talk to this guy more. I'll get him on a podcast. And it's been great. And it's really exciting for the new stuff coming forward. And so we'll wrap up here. Sam, outro?
You can find me on Twitter at Samuel Tolbert. That's Tolbert. You can find everything I write on techgamesnetwork.com.
Right on. Jared?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at RageVirus_X and as well at techgamesnetwork.com.
Right on. And Eric?
You can find me on Twitter, EC Jackson with an X. Now also on PS4, but not Switch, where you need my whole. I think I find me at EC Jackson on Wii U.
Oh man! Whoa, okay.
I can't believe it's 2019 and we're still using. So actually, no. You know what's sad? I'm pretty sure the Wii, like the Nintendo Switch friend code, is actually longer than Canadian social insurance numbers.
I'm sure it is. I can't believe in 2019 we went backwards from having a username on the Wii U to having a friend code on. I tell people all the time, if you want to end the debate on if it's a handheld or a console, it's a handheld because they went back to friend codes. The friend codes were on the 3DS. It's a portable, so they had to use the friend code.
It's terrible that they had to use the friend code. So
they didn't have to. They don't know any better. So
I am, of course, Nicholas Downey. You can find all my written work on tickgamesnetwork.com. You will find me standing alone on Vita Island, screaming till the end of times. Thank you guys for watching the show, supporting the show. I'm really excited to show you guys the next step, and we will see you guys all next week, but pre-recorded. Spooky. Okay, seriously. Have a great night, everybody.